Welcome back to Likely Inspired, the podcast. It's your boy Hugo Finesse.
It's your boy Go the Prodigy.
And we're here bringing you another episode of some heat. You know what I'm saying? Straight from these seats to yours. You know what I'm saying? Thank you guys for tuning into everything that we do, making us the success that you've been making it.
Thanks,
Today, we have a sensational artist that came all the way from Philadelphia just to bless our couches with his presence and let y'all know a little bit more about him. So, raining all the way from Philadelphia, we got my boy, Simi.
Yo, what's going on?
Now, there's a lot of questions because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that do know who you are, but maybe my viewers might not.
Yeah.
So, break down to them, like, where you're from and what it was like growing up.
Okay, so I'm from Philly, but currently I live in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
So I've been out there for probably the past almost 3 years, coming up on 3 years. But growing up, you know, in Philly, I'm like from the suburbs, from the outskirts.
Okay.
I went to like a predominantly white school, so hip hop was like a little foreign to me until I got into like probably freshman year. Like I heard songs on the radio, but it wasn't like typically the music that I listened to.
Yeah.
And then also being adopted, like my parents are white, so I found everything kind of like all at one point, like skateboarding, lacrosse, and music, and I got good at both of those things or all of those things really fast. So I had to pick. So I picked lacrosse first.
Okay.
But I still had that passion for rapping, so I would see people rapping, and I would come in and spit my bars, and they'd be like, "Yo," but I wouldn't take it serious. And then you know, I ended up getting locked up at 19, and I think that's when it took off, right? So I'm in.
You had all the time.
I had all the time in the world because I had like exactly.
Yeah.
So I think when I came, you know, I was upstate for 3 years, and I wrote every day, and I would rap in the yard. Like I would write in morning yard, and then I would come out at evening yard and have some, you know, some fire for them.
Right.
And you know, being around more black men, it kind of fueled me too, because you know, I didn't have that father figure in my life.
Yeah.
Luckily, I got placed with some good dudes upstate, and then I came home, and then that's when I was taking it serious.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, man, hip hop is a huge thing for me, but I think writing is really my passion. You know,
So-
writing for others.
Right.
What was it that brought you into hip hop? Because you said you played lacrosse and stuff like that, so you had the sports background.
Yeah.
But what was it that introduced you into music?
Did a little reading.
Yeah. So my mom is an educator, so she brought like poetry and just books into my life, and kind of having like fantasy in my life, and then knowing that I could be able to create that, like writing my own stories, is kind of how I started. But really what made me like fall in love and be passionate about rap, I played instruments, but every year I skipped. Like I just switched. I would play saxophone for a year, play trumpet for a year, guitar, drums. So I had that music bug, and I had this tattoo on me: "Music is the sound of feeling" to me. So I always had a feeling for music. But one day I saw this kid rapping. I saw 5 people stop by. I saw 10 people stop by. Then I saw another 10 people. Pretty soon it was a crowd sitting listening for one person, and I was like, that's the type of reception I want.
Right.
And then you know, I always had the ability to kind of rhyme, so I sat, and in the beginning it was like Cat in the Hat, Dr. Seuss raps.
That's what we
And you know, my mom's an educator, so I come from like an educated background, so I was trying to dumb stuff down, and it just wasn't feeling right. And then my homie was like, "Yo, just be you, like just talk about what you doing."
Yeah, the greatest
And
rappers got their own
exactly.
vocabulary.
And then that's when it kind of caught fire, and then people started giving me, you know, my name was, from being in Philly, like I always wore Philly hats, people used to call me Young P. And I went to this cypher one time, and I was spitting raps, and I was like 16 or 17, and this dude came up to me, he was like, "Yo, what's your rap name?" I was like, "Young P." He was like, "Oh, I could tell you, Young." And for whatever reason, bro, I did not like that. I don't know why, man. I wanted to seem older, so I went back home. I told my mom about it, and my mom, being an educator, like she writes in cursive. She teaches 3rd grade. That's like when you learn cursive.
Exactly.
So a lot of times she'll spell a letter in regular print and then another letter in cursive. Like that's just how it goes. So she would ask me, or she would write down names for me, and it started out as like auto, because anytime somebody would say, "Let me hear something," I'll automatically rap. But I didn't like that, so she wrote out semi-automatic. But the way she wrote semi out was SEMMI. Well, she wrote it out SEMI, but the cursive M, I looked at it real quick and thought it was 2, and I just went with that. And so ever since then, that's what people have been calling me.
Just semi. Yeah, so
The semi and then the shooter part of it, it came afterwards, like with trying to find like my mantra and who I am. It was mainly like, all right, the quality of artist I am and the ability to like shoot shit down like every time I'm on something, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I want is anytime you hear me, anywhere you hear me, it's always at this caliber, like I'm shooting shit down.
That's kind of like the little Uzi Vert thing. He got the Uzi for rapping fast.
Right,
Yeah,
right, and that's what I did.
Really
So,
awesome.
so if you, yep, shout out Easy. So if you hear like, you know how like Lil Wayne does the lighter flick. So I had this saying, it was called, yeah, I trash everything. Like when people ask me like, yo, what songs you going to have? Like, yeah, I trash everything. So I just changed it into YITE, right? It's an acronym, YITE.
yeah.
So that's one of the things that I used in my songs. Like if you heard YITE, YITE in the beginning of a verse, like in the hook part, like Lil Wayne's lighter.
That's what it is.
Or the shooter, that's all it came from.
That's fine.
So,
Dope.
How do you feel about music now versus when you was growing up?
man, you know, I grew up in the era of like Jadakiss, Eminem, Jay-Z, Fabulous, you know, people that really like took time with their pen. So that's, I think, why I write the way I write. So transitioning over to this generation, it's tough to get that appreciation, especially from like younger artists. Like it's a lot more like vibey and bop. And even now it's changing with AI. I think that with everything, there's always going to be evolution. Right, and with evolution, it doesn't mean that it fits what we all like. It's just going to evolve the way it's going to evolve. I mean, nobody knew from when hip hop first started that it would be to where it was when Biggie and Tupac were out, or you know when Eminem came. You know, so I don't fault it for sounding different, but it isn't like I'm not a big like fan of the artist now just because I didn't come up in that.
Yeah.
But I respect artistry, so.
Exactly.
Who is your favorite artist?
I would say Sexy Red's probably my favorite. Nah, I'm playing. Y'all like, what? Nah, I'm playing.
Nah. Yeah, I'm gonna let you express yourself, man. Hey, it is what it is.
I'm like,
Nah,
damn, you can't be here like Drake.
Nah, I'm playing. All right, so I'm gonna keep it real with you, man. Like, so my favorite artist for like bars. So I grew up really like listening to Eminem, but I was a huge Ace Hood fan, bro. I was a huge Ace Hood fan, and like it was in that era when like he was coming out with DJ Khaled, and they had started to be the best. And you know his just cadence and the way he sounded, and being from down south, I was just like, yo, man, like I kind of sound like that. Like he had more of like a spitter persona rather than being like a Kodak or a Bop or something like that. But my favorite artist that I kind of like built my sound to like emulate a little bit, because we all have influence.
No, you definitely do.
Is Tory, bro, because I've always liked singing, but I never put it on like wax, right? I would always be the rapper, and then you know I started listening to Tory, and my homies were like, "Yo, you should like put a little singing on that, bro. Like we know you can do it." And I started doing that, and then it ended up sounding like semi featuring semi.
I was gonna say, you know, it definitely does sound like you're featuring somebody on it. But it gave me when we was having a conversation about
we was riding to it on the way.
The music. I was telling him like we was talking about the singing, the harmonizing on the record, and I was saying like it kind of brings it back to like in the 80s and 90s where everybody kind of like harmonized on the record. Now you don't really get that so
what
much.
got out of you? I said Drake and Big Sean.
I like that. A lot of people give me that. They give me Big Sean, and I'm like, it's crazy because I'm not like no discredit to Big Sean, but like I'm not a Big Sean fan. Like I just never really stepped down.
It's the flow.
I think
that he kind of helped patent in that mid 2010 era.
Yeah, and that's not a bad comparison, bro. Like I respect that. I'll take that.
Nah, I'm still over here like you one of the first people that I ever heard that said Ace Hood as an influence.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Well, if I'm being real, my biggest influence to like do the harmonizing stuff, and I didn't mean to cut you off, was Nelly, bro. Like that was the first person that
made perfect sense.
Yeah, so you can kind of hear it in my music with like Party Anthem.
No, I was just saying like as an influence, period. Like said, having Ace Hood, not too many people mention that. Man. And he was actually really talented, and he had a lot of decent tracks.
He was ahead of
you know what I'm saying? Like no, that's a fact. It's just I don't think the people was ready for what he was doing. Like right around now, he'd have been all right with some of that music. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
But you know, when you mentioned that to me, I was like, not too many people mention that. So that to me stretches like you got to be a real hip hop head to
Yeah, man. I mean, I grew up listening to like Starvation, all his Starvation mixtapes and stuff, and like, and seeing his progression. Like, I was progressing at the same time, so like every time a new tape would come out, like I would know, like, all right, like it's not going to be good right now, but it's going to keep getting better. Because I'll listen to his old stuff, and I'm like, damn, in my mind, I'm like, I just thought Ace Hood was always good.
I got a Philly question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who was your go-to as far as like from a Philly artist? Would it be like
a ton of them?
Would it be Cassidy?
Yeah,
or Meek Mill?
Yeah.
First name?
Nah. So
I was gonna say like Cassidy, Meek Mill, A.R. Ab,
what about Petey Crack?
Petey Crack,
Beanie Siegel, like who?
All right, so coming up, right? Like when I was coming up, Cassidy was the it man. So that's kind of how I like moved my name around too, because people would always call him Cass, and I wanted the ability to be able to split my name down so people could call me something short, like yo Sam. So Cassidy was a big influence too when it came to like punchlines for me. And it's just it's like I just have a well-rounded like appreciation for music. Mm-hmm. Like Eminem for the creative ability to say whatever he wants, and that's what I put in my music. Tory for the harmony, Cassidy for the punchlines, right? Big Sean for the flow. Right. I think Ace Hood for the consistency. But for my Philly, back to your question, Cassidy for sure, Cicero, who a lot of people don't know.
Cicero was
my guy.
He was beefing with Meek.
Joey Jihad was big, before the whole situation with him.
We're not gonna shame him.
Yeah, we're not gonna shame him, but he was one of the guys that was on the radio consistently. So if there's somebody that's on the radio consistently in Philly and you're a rapper, that's who you.
I remember that era Joey Jihad. Dollars.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Reed. So Reed was who I really was into. Out of all the Meek Mill, Joey Jihad, and Reed, I wasn't really into Meek Mill too much until So, but I knew I wasn't like trying to be a battle rapper. Right. I love that sport and I love the ability to do that. But it's a whole different animal, right? Yeah. Just like I'm sure they couldn't not that they couldn't, but I'm sure it's more difficult for them to sit down and make a song, right? Like a real song.
No, it generally shows most of the battle rap artists they stay in their lane. Yeah. Most of the artists stay in their lane because it is two different joints. Yeah. To memorize that 16, to spit it in front of all of these different people, and you can't really fuck that up.
Yeah.
Different, you know what I'm saying?
And then you got all these people
for them to sit down and make something that the people could bop and dance to.
For sure. For sure.
Totally different.
Yeah, totally different ballgame for sure.
So let's talk about your music.
Yeah, how do you describe the music you typically create?
Music is the sound of feelings make, man. Like, my music is based off of feelings. Like, I don't try to sit down in my studio and be like, today I'm going to make a pop hit, or today I'm going to make a hard street joint or a drill joint or whatever. But my music is definitely, I'd like to say that it's impactful, right? Because you can go and you can listen to a song and it's either going to have some clever bars in it or I'm hitting you with some melodies. So I think it's well-rounded enough to be for everybody.
What's your most impacting song that you would...
Ceremony. The song that we talked about before. I think that I have some other songs about people that have passed away, but that song is so near and dear to my heart because of like the intro with Bible speaking on it. Right. And then what I'm talking about, right? Because there's a lot of times, like I said, like I won't share everything. Like me and A, like I won't go to him and be like, yo, I'm sad. Right? But if I put this and I'm like, yo, listen to this, right? That's me opening the door to let you know, yo, this is how I feel. But a lot of people that heard it felt the same way. Like, yo, you can hear the pain. Because I was in pain. Mm-hmm. So I think that song is super impactful. And then I dropped the EP called The Seminar, spin off of my name. This is the merch for it, you know what I mean? With Silhouette. But I dropped the Seminar.
I'm about to say where we get that
at. Trust me. I'm gonna get y'all right. I'm gonna get y'all right for sure. I dropped the EP called The Seminar last November, and I think probably the most impactful song on there is Yeah Yeah, because it's got the most crowd engagement, right? The hook is like, I count down in the hook and give
people the ability. The Seminar is out now?
Yeah, The Seminar is out now.
Okay. Yeah. What platforms do they find that on?
Oh, man, you can find that on Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, Tidal. It's everywhere, right? Any streaming platform.
I peeped that you said you play instruments when you were younger.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about beat making or having everything?
I do that
Fire.
Yeah, I do that. I don't like to. I'm an engineer first off, right?
Really?
I'm an engineer. So
Right.
any music that you hear from me is engineered by me. Engineered, not produced. I got a producer back in Philly who he wanted to make beats, and then he started, and then he just took off, right? So ever since I was given the ability to like make the beats, because I gave him my machine and stuff, he always gives me beats for free. So I think that's how you create a sound, right? You lock in with a producer and you just build from there. But as far as on the producing hand on my side, I got to this place of like being stagnant and stuck in a pocket. Right now, I'm getting all these beats from other people, and I'm writing, and it's easy for me to write, but I'm like, it's not challenging anymore, right? I've been doing this for so long, so I dusted off my machine studio and my complete control, and I was just messing around one day, and I was like, yo, I kind of got this, and everything's easier now. You know, we're not making stuff from scratch anymore. It's all loops. So I was like, yo, let me try and do some loops, right? And had a couple people look it over and whatever, and then, you know, figured out how to like EQ and compress and all that, because it's different when it comes to vocals. You know, if you're mixing on a 2-track or if you're mixing all the instruments by itself. So
see, I find it easier to make the instruments versus vocals. Some people the other way around.
Right. Vocals, I can, you know, you tell me what you're trying to hear, and I can get that thing right for you.
When did you link up with the mob?
Oh man, I don't like. I've been rocking with E for 10 years, maybe something like that. I was young, man. Like I just came out of prison, so you know. And then me and him linked, and it was love, man. Like we just kind of we're like polar opposites, but we work. You know what I mean? Like he's very much wants to be behind the scene. I very much want to be seen, you know, as an artist. And I'm vocal, right? Like, but he's a man of few words, but it's specific, right? It's intentional. So. I think that it's been like probably like 10 years, like 10, 15 years, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how would you say working with Bible was?
All right, so let me tell you this story about Bible. First off, it was amazing, right? Because I sit down and I write everything. Right. Bible doesn't do that. You know, you hear these artists that...
Nah, we from the same town. And...
Yeah, he go for real. Like, we was in the car freestyling and I was struggling to keep up. But, we went to Houston to do a walkthrough, and Bible was doing a show, and he was promoting No Funny, you know, one of his singles.
Okay.
And we had another homie that had a studio out there. So we were like, yo, we got an hour to kill before we got separated and go on our flights to go back home. We were in Houston, so we go to the studio, and we had like, at this point, we had probably like 35 minutes to finish the song. So we did one song together. We did that in 30 minutes, right? But seeing his process, like I am always prepared. Meaning, like, I always have verses in my phone, whether it's a throwaway verse or it's something where I'm like, I'm not gonna put that song out, I'll just put it on this. So I had a verse ready for it, right? And I had like set a line for the hook, and then Bible just said the hook. But he did his verse in 15 minutes, just freestyle, and that thing was fire. And I'm just like seeing it in person, because I record myself by myself all the time. I don't really, people send me stuff. But seeing it in person, I was like, yo, he's a god, bro. He's a god, bro.
New York to Canada, nigga. Bible. DBX, what it did to do, my jada? The big homies, biggest homies, bigger homie. You feel what I'm talking about? Big B's and belly boots, nigga. Walking on water, trying not to trip. Tell them niggas suck my dick. Where I'm from, we view bodies more than we do YouTube. See this blip, it's hard to keep it on my waist like a hula hoop. See this blade, man, I got a jagged edge. I never knew the group. But you gon' make my niggas spin your block like in the Rubik's Cube. Fuck an iPhone, look at all the numbers that my boots doing. Pussy nigga owe me 2 G's, I shot him out his Gucci shoes. Left him in a wheelchair like Jimmy cause it's suitable. Made a whole new meaning when he said he couldn't stand to see his nigga at his funeral. Pull up the 118th Ave to the pawn shop for the do-do-do. Pull up the Abbott's field, I'ma let this shit go like I'm cool with you. Took his ice in the district, it was beautiful. Caught the drop on the same Uber as my op. Left him leaking in the back, she done turned that shit into a real Uber pool.
Rest in peace, Bible.
And you can't, rest in peace, Bible, man. And you can't teach that, right? Like the charisma and the authenticity, but also the courage to like say what he says and how he says it. I was just like, man, you know, we did that song like in a half an hour. Like I was sad because I'm like, you know, all the music that we could have done. But there's a lot of unreleased stuff from him that we got sitting in the vault that we're gonna, you know, eventually put out. That it's crazy. But yeah, working with him was a dream, man. And I hope and pray that when we do get to where we're supposed to get to with this music, I can go back or use that platform to be able to put his stuff out. You know.
Yeah. Dope.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Industry question. What do you like better? Underground or mainstream?
Probably mainstream, because that's like where I'm trying to aim for, right? I don't know too much about the underground either, so that probably makes more sense why I would lean towards mainstream. And like everything that I'm like into and following on Instagram, because that's the main platform I really work off of, is all mainstream. You know, whether it's like Kendrick and Drake, or it's what's going on with Sexy Red, or for real, I just seen her sit down with Andre 3000. I'm like, why are y'all in the same room? But yeah, so I think mainstream.
Gotcha. Fire.
Like that Sexy Red drop again.
Shout out Sexy
Shout
Red.
out Sexy Red, bro. Get into it.
Yeah. What genres do you listen to outside of hip hop?
I have a friend who's in a metal band, an all girls metal band, so I listen to her music sometimes.
Heavy metal?
Yeah, heavy metal, all girls. Yeah. Yeah, DS Taylor.
No offense to the heavy metal.
Nah, it's not. But listen, it's not really. It's so hard. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I can respect artistry again, right? It's not
that's a fact.
Yeah, it's not something where I'm like, yo, you ready? You want to ride? Yo, check this out, bro. My homies be like, what are you doing?
I probably get about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah. But again, as an artist, man, like I respect the craftsmanship of it, and like the talent. Like I can't play an instrument and sing at the same time, bro. Like I can't even play the instrument. So shout out to them. But R&B too. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm a huge Chris Brown fan. I don't know why I didn't say anything about his influence. I can't really sing,
right?
But I be in the car singing alone, bro, and I'm like, shit, Chris, I'm coming for you, bro. But I'm the next one, bro.
Hey, you can easily take Tory's spot down.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Yeah,
you got Tory's spot down.
That's my guy, man.
Well, he down for like 10.
Yeah, he down.
Free Tory,
free Tory, bro. Free Tory. He ain't do it, man.
His spot's just open for the public right now.
Honestly, that's why I think God works in mysterious ways, man. It's gonna sound wild, but the worst compliment you can get as an artist is that you sound like somebody, right? It's not bad, but for us, we all want to be different. I knew, like, with the influence of Tory, like,
everybody sounds
like somebody, right?
Everybody sounds like somebody, man.
So with him being, you know, I submit my music to a lot of live reviews. People always fuck with it, but they're always like, "Yo, this kind of you kind of sound like Tory," and they don't mean it in a bad way. And I'm like, "Yeah, I've been doing that a little bit more strategically because that's missing." And he was on the rise, like he was already popping, but he was on the rise to be a great because nobody could really do what he was doing. So I don't think that I would be able to fill those shoes, but I would definitely be able to fill that void.
Yeah.
So
no, definitely. So what would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self?
Don't do drugs. Don't do drugs, my boy. It's not worth it. They're gonna get you for 3-6. Yeah, nah, man. I mean, like I got booked at 19 off of drugs, man, and like that's a part of my story, right? That's why I'm sober today. You know, I struggled on and off with substance abuse, and I don't knock it. It's from what I can't control. You know, like everybody has their own capability and capacity, but yeah, if I had to talk to my 18-year-old self today, bro, I would be like, yo, put it down, bro. Put it down. You know?
Gotcha.
I like to pause before, like, my brother says something else and say, you know, likely inspired the podcast. That actually is the realest answer that anybody has ever came on here and said. And I say that, saying it because most people are fucking scared to admit their faults and different shit like that. So big shout out to you, bro, for that. Like I definitely, like, I respect that 100%. Like nobody else has really even came on here. I wish they would come on here and be more real with themselves. But some of the things that people say, you'd be like, okay, that's cool, but realistically, we need to hear shit like that. Like that's the truth.
I appreciate that. I think it comes from like I wasn't always a vulnerable person, right? I would lie. I would say what I thought you wanted me to, wanted to hear, right? Because I still want you to respect me at the end of the day. But in life, right, I get to this transition point where, like, I realize that the respect that you get from others is having respect for yourself.
Right.
So
realist
I know,
realist with yourself.
Yeah. So and being vulnerable is a part of like has been a part of my process. And like I've been to therapy, especially like being adopted and stuff. But I've gained more in life by just being honest and just being vulnerable about where I'm at instead of like having some big bravado and inside I'm like scared, you know. Like I say, you get in dangerous situations. You play the tough guy and then the tough guy gets tested and you're like, yo, I'm actually not tough. Please don't punch me. You know what I mean? So being you and being sincere, like Eli and I were leaving the house today and I had on these cargo shorts and I was like, yo, we going to the interview or we coming back here? He said, we're going to the interview. I was like, all right, I'm going to take these off because you made me look like a white boy. And he was like, man, just be you, bro. Own your truth. And I was like, I'm still putting pants on, bro. But it's about, like, now I'm in a place of, like, I understand. Like, I came from I'm mixed, but I come from a adopted family. My parents are white. I grew up skateboarding. But, like, there's a pocket for everybody out there. So me, I used to be scared of who I was. And now I'm like, yo, I am who I am. People are like, yo, I fuck with that, or like, yo, me too, or whatever. So
black and white, you technically everybody.
Exactly, right?
You know.
So yeah,
that's a fact, bro. Big respect on that
Appreciate
answer.
that.
You know what I'm saying? Really do. What you got for us, bro?
Yo, what's your favorite song to perform?
All right, so all right, I'm lying. They Know Now. It's on the Seminar EP. It was a song that I've been trying to perform for a hot minute. Eli wouldn't let me perform it for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but I still did it. I was at the BMF pool party and I asked him. I was like, "Yo, what song should I perform?" And he was like, "Perform Yeah Yeah." I was like, "All right," or no, it was Paranoia, and I didn't do that. I performed what I wanted to perform, which is They Know Now. But the biggest song that gets the most crowd reaction right now currently is Yeah Yeah. We transitioned over to performing Cross, another song. But Yeah, I think it gets more traction with the crowd because like I count down in the hook, and it's you know they say if you put a question in the song like in the hook, it'll get answered through the crowd, and that's how it is, right? It's question back and forth.
Exactly.
So Yeah is the biggest song that I get to.
I'm gonna need a mop, clean up on now cool. Fuck is he loud for? Sorry if that shit girl get a prenup about. I'm starting at 7, who want it? Let's get it 6 feet. Paralytic bad bitch, bow-legged, average with the head. I'm jagged with the edge, where the party at dirty. Ain't never know.